Hey, what's up guys? So if you don't know, over the summer and really last year, I basically burned myself out from overwork, juggling this doctorate with running my business, and I started having some unusual health issues that I'd never had before. One of them was some stuff going on in my stomach, just from the stress. Now, over the summer, I actually had lost almost 10 pounds. And when I got on the scale in September, back in Portland, I was 159 pounds at 6'2", which is the thinnest I'd ever been in a lot of years. Now, around 170, I tend to look okay. I tend to look muscular, decent. I'd say my ideal body weight is probably 180, 185. But I was pretty nervous after losing that much weight, and I certainly felt emotionally a bit stressed out because I worked so hard to gain that weight, and it's taken me basically 10 years to gain that with digestive problems. Now, once my stomach started going back to normal, I started relaxing and chilling out. I did 3 new habits to get up to 170 again. So about 11 or 12 pounds in that 12-week period from about mid-September to basically mid-December. Hey, what's up guys? Alex Hine here, author of the book Master the Day. So the very first thing that I do when anything goes haywire, any habit's not working, could be relationship, could be fitness, could be finances, is to track. Like, what's the first thing the gurus tell you to do when you don't have enough money or you're overspending? You track, you keep a budget. Money in, money out. Well, you can do the same thing for calories or just overall foods. What food's going in my body? It's really that simple. So the very first thing I did was I got MyFitnessPal, I tracked what I was eating every day, the kinds of foods, and I very lightly tracked the number of calories. And from there, all I did was added 300 to 400 calories per day. For me, what tends to work best for my body is usually fat, like peanut butter. It's easy to get down, it's fat, so it doesn't leave you overly full, and it's something that's pretty cheap to get in extra calories. And so for me, the key to, first of all, being honest with yourself is tracking. Because almost everyone I've talked to when it comes to fitness, they overestimate basically how much they eat when it comes to weight loss or weight gain, just like many people underestimate how much they're spending. They think, oh, I only spent $300 this month, but if you look at the facts on Mint or on your Bank of America statement, it says you spent $800 this month. And you put $500 on a credit card, which now you're gonna pay $20, $30, $40, $50, $100 a month on. So for me, the biggest thing first is to stop being in denial and to prove yourself the truth, which is by tracking everything for 30 days related to that habit. All right, guys, so the second thing is to eat out. I know this is really unsexy. There's nothing magical about this, nothing really that special. Eat out, all right? Really unsexy. There's no magic to it. The thing with eating out for me is that you realize just how many more calories you actually eat when you eat out. If someone like me who has a hard time gaining weight can pretty consistently gain weight by eating out 3, 4, 5 times a week. Now, when I eat out, I'm not eating sushi, right? If I eat out, I'm getting relatively heavy meals. I'll get burgers, or I'll get like a burger with salad, or I'll get a lot of Mexican and Spanish food is some of my favorites. I tend to eat relatively heavy when I eat out. But if you think about that, for people that are trying to lose weight, it's really difficult to count how many calories you're getting when you eat out. And that's kind of the trick, right? If you want to gain weight, eat out more regularly, because even if it's relatively healthy, like salmon and rice, you're still going to be getting in a ton of calories you wouldn't otherwise, just because the amount of fat, like in the form of butter or oils, there's a lot more when you're going out to restaurants because they want the food to taste good. So there's a lot of preparation, a lot of processing that goes into making food, and there's both healthy processing, unhealthy processing. But the overall process of processing, which includes dicing things up, adding fat, adding creams and sauces, it just increases the calories a lot. So the second thing I did was I actually started going out I had like one business lunch or kind of like a networking dinner every I guess 4 of them per week. So I would go out 4 times per week. We would pick a new restaurant, especially being in Portland, it's like foodie culture, and it's nice to kind of see everything. I would go out, chat with people, and just by doing that over the course of the last 10 to 12 weeks, that's probably added 5 or 6 pounds by itself. And again, for me, it's really easy for me not to overeat when it's my own food that I'm making. So if you're obviously someone who's trying to lose weight, kind of shows the importance of not eating out so much. The third thing is carbs. Now I know it's pretty trendy in the fitness industry to say that carbs are not why people are fat, but what I found, just straight up, is that it is so easy for me to overeat when I'm eating a lot of carbs. So for example, if you take a meal and you say, I want to have two people here, one's going to gain weight, one's going to lose weight, one person has to eat a huge steak that's prepared in a healthy way with vegetables. The other person has to have maybe like a 4-ounce steak with a huge plate of mashed potatoes with gravy. Who do you think is going to gain the weight? Like the person with a huge plate of mashed potatoes. And in my opinion, my experience, it's all about satiety. So how full you feel. All I know is for me, someone who does not have a big appetite by nature, I easily will overeat on carbs versus protein or vegetables. That's just the nature of the game. And so if I want to actually encourage myself to gain the weight, I would have, with breakfast, I usually have 2 eggs on toast. I would have 2 eggs and 2 or 3 pieces of toast. For lunch, I usually have like chicken, rice, and vegetables. I would have a double portion of rice. And then for dinner, I often have more of what's for lunch, or these days I've been going out a little bit more. But the very fact that for me, someone with not a lot of appetite and who tends to get bloated pretty easily with my digestive problems, for me, eating more carbs is really easy. That's the easiest way for me to overeat. And keeping that in mind, it's probably the same way for most people. It's so much easier to just pack down like bread with butter than it is to pack down this much more steak. You know what I mean? Everyone knows this sensation subjectively. So the science of satiety or fullness is really something that comes into play here. So what I did, honestly, to gain that back, what I lost, I would literally just double the intake at each of my meals. So for breakfast, I typically have like 2 eggs with bread, 1 slice of bread. And I would just do 2 or 3 slices of bread with butter instead, with those eggs. Or I would have eggs, a couple eggs, 2 pieces of bread with butter, and some veggies. For lunch, when I had rice, like I usually have chicken, vegetables, and rice. That's a typical meal for me, kind of Mediterranean. I would just have double the serving of rice. Kind of straightforward, right? For dinner, I would do the same thing. And at night when I went out, I wouldn't be afraid to get, if I got Mexican food, to get a huge plate that also had a little bit less protein and a lot more rice and beans. I wouldn't stress myself out about that. So what I'm noticing is an easy trend is that it's easier to overeat on carbs, and that honestly, they're just a lot tastier to me. It's way easier for me to hammer down, 6 waffles with syrup, which is 1,000 calories, versus a 16-ounce steak, and I love steak. So I think there's that level of satiety and fullness that different macronutrients provide. And if you want to gain weight, try doubling your carb intake, to be honest, because it works. All right, guys, so I hope that helps. And also, let me know what you think of this kind of style. A little bit more vlog mixed with my standing back at my place, educational type video. But before you go, I want you to let me know down below, let me know for you, what things that are typical advice have not worked for you to gain weight, and what things have worked best. Let me know below.